We are taught to see narcissism as an obsession with the self. But what if I told you that at its core, clinical narcissism isn't about self-love at all? What if it's about a profound, terrifying emptiness, a chasm hidden behind a carefully constructed mask of perfection? Today, we peel back that mask. What's up, everyone? You're watching Learniq Psychology, and today we're going to be talking about narcissism. When psychologists diagnose Narcissistic Personality Disorder, or NPD, they aren't looking for someone who posts a lot of selfies. They are looking for a rigid and unhealthy pattern of thinking and behaving that appears by early adulthood and causes significant distress or impairment. The DSM-5 lists 9 criteria. An individual must consistently exhibit at least 5 of them to be diagnosed. Here are the criteria. A grandiose sense of self-importance. They exaggerate achievements or talents and expect to be recognized as superior, even without real accomplishments. Preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Their thoughts often revolve around being the best or living a perfect life. Belief that they are special and unique. They think only high-status people or institutions can truly understand them or should associate with them. A need for excessive admiration. They constantly crave praise, validation, and attention from others. A sense of entitlement. They expect special treatment or automatic compliance with their wishes. Interpersonally exploitative behavior. They take advantage of others to achieve their own goals. Lack of empathy. They struggle to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Envy of others or belief that others envy them. They either feel jealous of people's success or assume everyone's jealous of them. Arrogant or haughty behaviors and attitudes. They often come across as condescending, dismissive, or superior. These criteria aren't occasional bad moods or moments of selfishness. For someone with NPD, this is their baseline reality. It's a lens through which they see the entire world. The two faces, grandiose versus vulnerable narcissism. Modern research shows that narcissism isn't monolithic. It primarily presents in 2 different ways. First, there's the grandiose or overt narcissist. This is the stereotype: arrogant, extroverted, charming, and overtly self-important. They are the braggarts, the show-offs, who feel entitled to the best of everything and are often surprisingly resilient to criticism because they simply dismiss it as jealousy. But then there's the vulnerable or covert narcissist. This is a much more subtle presentation. They may appear shy, anxious, or even depressed. Their grandiosity is hidden. They have the same fantasies of greatness, but are deeply insecure and hypersensitive to feedback. They feel they deserve recognition, but are resentful and bitter that the world doesn't provide it. They often resort to passive aggression and playing the victim to manipulate others. The psychological origins. Where does narcissism come from? The leading theories point to a failure in early development. Psychodynamic theorists like Otto Kernberg and Heinz Kohut propose that narcissism stems from a major disruption in the child's ability to form a healthy, integrated sense of self. This can happen in 2 ways. A child may be overvalued, taught that they are perfect and superior, never learning to cope with frustration or failure. Or more commonly, the child suffers a narcissistic injury from neglect or emotional abuse. To survive this pain, the child constructs a false self, a grandiose, perfect persona, to protect the wounded, devalued true self they've hidden away. This false self requires constant validation from the outside world, what we call narcissistic supply, because it has no internal stability. The impact of NPD, big red flags. The impact of NPD is most devastating in close relationships, which often follow a predictable, toxic cycle. It begins with idealization. You are the perfect partner, the most brilliant friend. They mirror your interests and shower you with attention. This is because they see you as a perfect source of narcissistic supply, an extension of their own perceived perfection. But this cannot last. The moment you assert your own needs, disagree, or show any human flaw, you shatter their illusion. This triggers a profound narcissistic injury, and the devaluation phase begins. You are subtly criticized, gaslit, and blamed for everything. This is designed to break down your self-esteem and reestablish their control and superiority. Finally, when you are emotionally depleted and no longer a good source of supply, or when a new, better source is found, comes the discard. This is often sudden, callous, and utterly lacking in empathy, leaving the partner confused and traumatized. Can NPD be treated? It's incredibly difficult. The very nature of the disorder, the lack of insight, and the belief that the problem is always with everyone else, makes it hard for them to seek or engage in therapy. However, long-term, specialized psychotherapies like schema therapy or transference-focused psychotherapy can help manage behaviors and develop some degree of empathy, but it requires immense commitment. Schema therapy focuses on uncovering deep-rooted emotional patterns, called schemas, that were often formed in childhood. These schemas shape how a person views themselves and others. For For someone with narcissistic traits, therapy helps them recognize patterns like the need to feel superior or the fear of being insignificant. Over time, they learn healthier ways to relate to people and build a more stable sense of self-worth that doesn't rely on constant admiration. Transference-focused psychotherapy, on the other hand, works through the relationship between the patient and the therapist. The idea is that the way the person relates to the therapist mirrors how they relate to others in their life, through control, idealization, or devaluation. By exploring these interactions in real time, the therapist helps them gain awareness of their emotional world and gradually integrate a more balanced and realistic view of themselves and others. Narcissism is not a choice. It is a disorder born of deep psychological wounds. But this does not excuse the harm it can cause. Understanding its true nature is very important because it's about protecting yourself. It's about setting firm boundaries, trusting your reality, and recognizing that you cannot fix another person's fractured self. If you see these patterns in your own life, the most important step is to seek support for yourself. And now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with someone who showed these traits, or struggled to understand where confidence ends and narcissism begins? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Your little support on Patreon can really help me produce more amazing content. Until next video, keep learning.